So this package just arrived today and let's install it. Woohoo! So many lines! Alright, so I'm going to talk a lot about gears in this episode. My point isn't to sell you anything or to push you towards one brand or another. It's more to give you some details about technicalities on certain technologies and kind of what's around and how to choose some stuff. So the idea is for me just to share what I learned over the past few years of cruising and then racing, and kind of how to choose lines and how to look into certain details. So if you want to discuss running rigging, just stay there. I'll talk about this in a minute. And if you don't want to, well, maybe you have some bachata to dance or aquaponi to attend. Oh, and of course, yes, this. So these, for example, that's my endless furling line for the Gennaker furler, and the one I've been using since a while is too thin, so it's really hard to furl the Gennaker. So I've ordered a new one to SVB that is a bit more thick, and that should fit better. It wants to come out. There we go. It's basically just a continuous loop that goes in the furler and never stops. And this one is spliced, so you can't really see that there is a splice, and it just goes all around. So I hope that this will improve the furling on my Gennaker. I mean, for me this is quite a benefit, because you know, I know how to splice these, but I'm not professional, and this just comes all the way done to you from the production line, so from Glenstein. So that's pretty cool. It looks like it fits really nicely. See, even like this, putting load on it should be perfect. So really nice. We'll try that. Okay, so one of the things on my to-do list to prepare the Mini Transat is changing all the running rigging. Or maybe not all of it, but the lines I have at the moment, they've done, I think, already 7,000 nautical miles. I'm not sure of what was on the boat when I started, but it's not the best materials. So SVB have been helping me to get new lines. I'm getting all Glenstein running rigging. I didn't knew about them before, but I've heard lots of good about them, and so I'll be showing you a bit what I've got, and more especially why I chose the line I chose, because you know there is big catalog with lots of different models, and why I chose the line for this or this usage. So first things first. So to talk about lines on a boat, you need to know that your lines are built of two parts, the core and the cover. So see, here I have my cover, which is white and green, and in there I have the core, which is able to slide kind of onto that. So the core is what is going to give the strength to your line. The cover is what going to protect it, to give it some grip. For instance, this core is Dyneema, so really strong, but also Dyneema doesn't like UV. So in order to protect the core Dyneema, you have a cover that will be also made maybe from Dyneema, maybe for something else. So yeah, that's a bit the two things important: cover here and core of your line. Okay. In order to choose the adapted line for your boat, for example, in my case, what I do is that all the lines that I have my hands on all the time, so for example, the running backstay purchase system, the main sheet traveler, the main sheet, things like this. So these, the inside is Dyneema. So Dyneema is a brand. You have different quality of Dyneema fiber. Kind of a good standard is SK78. It's really strong. Braking loads are just huge. So the inside of the core of these lines are SK78. But the thing is that with some lines, for example, see, this is my old halyard, it's kind of shiny, and this hurts your hands with time, and it's slippery as well. These lines, see how it's kind of fluffy? So it's still part Dyneema, part polyester, but kind of it will gives you a nicer touch to your line. So on this line that you're using all the time, it's nice to have this kind of woolly feeling. If you don't want to go for expensive lines, you can also go for polyester. Polyester will give a nicer touch, even if it's less durable in time. So yeah, these are for the lines that I have my hands on constantly. Aspect of when you're choosing your lines is their elongation. So it's how much they stretch when they are under load. In general, on boats, for most things, you want something that doesn't stretch. For example, for your halyards, for your sheets, you know, when you trim your mainsail and you put tension on the halyard, you don't want to be doing something and you turn around and then, you know, this much stretch and you lost all your left tension. So non-stretch, it's something super important, and there's some use where it's even more important. For example, running backstay. Also on my boat, you know, I have these lines holding the bowsprit in place. These I don't want them to give at all. So for those I chose lines that are, the core is Dyneema SK99. The elongation is even less. I think it's around 4% on these ones, when the other ones, for example the fluffy ones, are around 6 or 8%. But yeah, the SK99 is really non-stretch, so it won't give under load. So for more running backstays, for the bowsprit, for your halyards, eventually you want something that doesn't give. That's SK99. So this is the line holding my bowsprit on either side, and you would not be able to tell that it's SK99 by touching it, or I mean maybe some people can, I cannot. So you need to know and buy this on purpose. And also what's really cool is that, so I've asked for all the exact measurements and for what type of splicing I wanted, and they just sent me everything already spliced, which is pretty convenient, because doing something like this takes a lot of time, and to do it so nice looking as this is not easy at all, believe me. So that's a super cool option to have this. So thanks a lot SVB and Glenstein, definitely helps a lot. And the last kind of type of lines I've asked for is, like, for example, so either if it's spinnaker sheets or jib sheets. So for all those that you're handling often, I chose something. So the core, same thing, is SK78, but the cover is going to be a mix of Dyneema, Technora and polyester. So it's at the same time nice on your hands, but at the same time really much chafe resistant, which is what you want for lines that are all the time on winches. So yeah, that's a bit the overview on all the lines I have on board. and now I'm installing them, and I'll show you a little trick that I'm doing to run halyards through the mast easily. And yeah, that's it. So one way of getting your new halyard through the mast is to use the old one as messenger and kind of connect the new one to it. Just use a needle and a piece of whipping twine, and you just go through them a few times like this, put a bit of tape and run it through. It works perfectly, and it's you know, you just want to have a strong bond, so if it gets caught somewhere, it doesn't break. I know some people do it with just tape, and that's a bit ballsy, because if it breaks, then you lose your messenger and it's a pain in the neck to rerun the halyard through. This technique of sewing them together works really well, but it's time consuming. And let's say I have my halyard that cover is broken, I need to change it quickly during a race. You don't want to be, you know, doing like your stitching and running it through and then cut the stitching, all that. The way I do it is I take so I take my halyard and I just do a little loop like this at the end that is thin enough to be able to run through the blocks, and this one even runs through my constrictors, so it's nice and convenient. And then I just have to, you know, attach this loop to a messenger. You know, if I do it on two halyards, on my spare halyard and my actual halyard, I just connect them in between here with a little piece of Dyneema, and I run them through. So the way to do this without any like over diameter is pretty simple. You take the end of your line you want to do this with. That's my spare halyard, so I'll do it on that one. So just get your line you want to do this with. Going to cut whatever is at the end, whether it's a whipping or whether if it's burnt. You put a little bit of tape just to make it look nice. Here you go. And now you're going to pull the core out from the cover for about 15-20 centimeters. Going to cut the core. There you go. Don't need this anymore. And now you're going to pull from, you know, far away. You're going to prusik it to pull the cover again on top of your core. So you pull like this and see how the core is going to go back inside the cover. Okay, so here I have my core that finishes here, and this is just cover, and I'm going to just put it back into itself and we'll do some stitching. Let me show you how to do this. So this end that is a bit frayed, I'm just going to tape it. Okay, that's taped. I'm going to take my small needle, prusik it properly. Okay, so this is going to end up about like this. The end of my core is here. I take about this much. I want a loop about this big, so I get my needle to enter here. And I push my needle all the way until where the core inside is. You can't see, but you'll be able to feel it if you do it at home. Just push it out here. Put my tapered tape in there, push it, and then struggle a little, and until it gets out, there it goes. Once it's here, you can remove the tape, and then you can pull that cover back in really slowly, just so it finishes flush. There I have this end here. Not really nice, but it's fine, I'll cut it. So you have your loop and your cover that gets into itself. Okay, at that stage, be careful not to pull too much, because if you pull, it will easily go out. First you need to get your needle with a piece of line. You do figure 8 knot at the end, figure 8 knot, there you go. So where the cover is into itself, you start, goes through diagonal, there you go. Here it's not going to be lots of strands, I just need to hold in place, so I'll just go in and out like this a few times, every kind of centimeters or something like that. Do a few more passes through, there we go, boom boom, get the line, boom, done. So see, it looks like this. The cover of the line finishes here, then I have the cover that goes back into itself with some stitches so it cannot undo itself, and now I can attach this to any other messenger or the old halyard and just pull it through the mast. See, that took me about 5 minutes to do here on shore, but it can save you lots of hassle and time once you're on the water and you want to do, you know, some halyard change, or if you have any problem with your halyards at sea. So yeah, pretty easy. All right, 3 more to do. Let's go.
Page mama, page papa, lisan sami, lisan famio. Page mama, page papa, lisan sami, lisan famio. Rosemary, se wamene toto shipotai, se shema e pu viva velo, we mama.
And so today I'm tackling an important part of the running rig, which is the bowsprit. So the bowsprit is where I have my head sails tack running to. So I have 2 friction rings here that are for 2 different tack lines. See how they're beaten up, and just 1 loop that I have in case one of these friction ring breaks, and I can clip my gennaker directly onto this. And these 2 lines are the ones holding the bowsprit laterally when it's in place, and under here you have 5-to-1 purchase system that allows me to control the altitude of the bowsprit when it's in place. So I'm kind of going to just change everything, make sure that everything is set. There's huge forces onto that bowsprit, so I really want everything to be running smoothly. And also I'm going to try to work on weight, try to have the whole thing as light as possible. You've been asking me a lot about how this bowsprit operates. It's actually quite simple. So when it's on rest position, I just have a bungee to hold it to the side, one side or the other, and then I just release this, and I have this here, see, I can pull from the cockpit, and when I pull on it, it goes and straighten up. And then it's just these 2 red lines that hold the bowsprit on one side or the other, so I always have the bowsprit slightly to windward, and eventually on the winch if there is lots of wind. So yeah, pretty simple, no? And when I don't need it anymore, I drop the sail and then just release one of the line that is to windward, and then the bowsprit will naturally fall to leeward, and I just pick it back and put it back onto its bungee. So yeah, pretty simple. All right, go go go.
Page mama, page papa, lisan sami, lisan famio. Page mama, page papa, lisan sami, lisan famio. Rosemary, se wamene toto shipotai, se shema e pu viva velo. Ouais maman, musicien c'est traplan.
you're still here, it means that you enjoyed the Boat Geek stuff or that you fell asleep. But either way, if you like this kind of content, please leave a comment. It does help me to kind of spot what kind of content you guys like. And thank you so much and fair winds.
Les amis, les famille, oh. Page maman, page papa, oh. Les amis, les famille, oh.